What if I told you that somewhere in the world, right now, there might exist a secret society, not of hundreds, not of thousands, but of just 9 men. 9 individuals who possess knowledge so powerful it could end wars instantly, control entire populations or destroy humanity in seconds. And the most terrifying part is that they've existed for over 2,000 years, with no records, no confirmed identities, no proof, and yet their influence might already be shaping your life in ways you don't even realize. Now, before you dismiss this as just another conspiracy theory, consider this. Some of the most powerful forces in history have always operated in silence, away from public view, hidden, not because they are weak, but because they are too powerful to be seen. This story, strange as it sounds, does not begin on the internet or in modern speculation, but deep in ancient India, with one of the most powerful emperors to ever live, Ashoka the Great, a ruler whose decisions may have quietly shaped the direction of human civilization itself. To understand this mystery, we have to step back into a world of conquest, bloodshed, and empire. A time when power was measured not in influence or technology, but in land, armies, and fear. When the Mauryan Empire stretched across nearly the entire Indian subcontinent, making it one of the largest empires of the ancient world. At the center of it all stood Ashoka, a man who was not always remembered as the Great, but rather as a ruthless conqueror, a leader who expanded his rule through relentless violence, crushing rebellions, eliminating rivals, and establishing dominance through sheer force, until everything changed during one of the most devastating conflicts in Indian history, the Kalinga War. A war so brutal that it did not just result in victory, but in unimaginable destruction, where ancient accounts suggest that over 100,000 people were killed. Thousands more died in the aftermath from starvation and displacement, and entire communities were wiped out as if they had never existed. Now imagine being that emperor, standing on that battlefield after the war is over, surrounded not by celebration, but by silence, broken only by the cries of the wounded and the grieving, seeing burned villages, lifeless bodies, families torn apart, and realizing in that moment that victory has come at a cost so great that it no longer feels like victory at all. And according to legend, that moment changed Ashoka forever, breaking something inside him, forcing him to confront the true consequences of power. This transformation led him to renounce violence, embrace peace, and follow the teachings of Buddhism, transforming from a conqueror into a ruler who promoted compassion and non-violence across his empire. But here is where the story takes a deeper and more unsettling turn, because Ashoka did not simply abandon war. He began to fear something far more dangerous than armies or weapons. He began to fear knowledge itself, realizing that knowledge in the wrong hands could become a force far more destructive than any battlefield. And this realization is something that even today, in our modern world of nuclear weapons, artificial intelligence, and genetic engineering, we are still struggling to fully understand. After the Kalinga War, Ashoka is said to have asked a question that very few leaders in history have ever considered, a question that changes everything. What if knowledge itself becomes the greatest weapon humanity will ever create? Because even now we know that the same technology that powers cities can also destroy them. The same biological research that cures diseases can also create deadly viruses. And the same understanding of human psychology that helps people can also be used to manipulate entire societies. And if these dual-use dangers exist today, imagine discovering even fragments of such power over 2,000 years ago, at a time when the world was far less prepared to handle it. According to the legend, Ashoka believed that certain forms of knowledge were simply too dangerous to be shared openly. That if they were allowed to spread freely, they would eventually lead humanity toward destruction. And so instead of destroying that knowledge, he made a decision that was both radical and terrifying. He chose to hide it, not temporarily but permanently, creating a system designed to protect humanity from itself. To carry out this mission, he secretly selected 9 extraordinary individuals, not warriors or politicians, but the most brilliant minds in his empire, chosen not just for their intelligence, but for their discipline, their loyalty, and their ability to remain completely silent. Men who would dedicate their entire lives to guarding secrets that the rest of the world would never even know existed, forming what would come to be known as the 9 Unknown Men. What makes this legend even more fascinating is that each of these 9 men was entrusted with a specific domain of knowledge, recorded in a book, but not just any book. These were said to be living texts, constantly updated, refined, and expanded over generations, evolving as new discoveries were made, creating a continuous chain of knowledge that could potentially span over 2 millennia. These books were believed to cover subjects that even today remain at the edge of human understanding, from the manipulation of human psychology and mass influence to the deepest secrets of the human body, from invisible microorganisms to the fundamental forces of the universe, from communication systems that go beyond language to the very structure of society itself. Raising a question that is both fascinating and unsettling. If such knowledge truly existed, and if it was preserved and improved over thousands of years, what level of understanding would it reach by today? And more importantly, who would control it? Because according to the legend, the 9 Unknown Men were not just passive guardians of knowledge. They were part of a system designed to last indefinitely. A system where the number of members never changed, always remaining exactly 9. Where each time a member died, a successor was quietly chosen, trained in secrecy, and entrusted with the knowledge, ensuring that nothing was ever lost, no matter how much time passed. This created an unbroken chain that could theoretically continue forever. And if that system truly existed, it would mean that somewhere in the world today, there could still be 9 individuals carrying forward this legacy, operating completely outside the awareness of the public, and possibly even outside the awareness of governments. Over time, the legend evolved, with some claiming that these men did not simply guard knowledge, but actively influenced the course of history itself, intervening in subtle ways to prevent dangerous discoveries, to delay technological advancements that could harm humanity, or to guide progress in safer directions, not through open power, but through quiet influence. A conversation here, a decision there, a discovery that never quite reaches the public. This leads to an unsettling possibility that some of the gaps in human history, some of the lost inventions, some of the ideas that appeared too early and then disappeared, may not have been accidents at all, but the result of deliberate intervention. For centuries, there was no written mention of this society in mainstream history, until the early 20th century, when Talbot Mundy published a novel titled The 9 Unknown, bringing the legend into modern awareness. And while it was presented as fiction, Mundy suggested that the story was based on real information. This idea was later echoed and expanded by thinkers like Louis Pauwels and Jacques Bergier, who explored the possibility that the 9 Unknown Men were not just a myth, but a hidden reality, still operating in the modern world. Today, in an age defined by rapid technological advancement, the legend feels more relevant than ever. We now live in a world shaped by artificial intelligence capable of reshaping economies, genetic engineering that can alter life itself, and weapons powerful enough to destroy entire civilizations, raising the question of whether humanity has truly become capable of handling such power responsibly, or whether we are repeating the same cycle that Ashoka once tried to prevent. And this brings us to the central mystery, the question that has kept this legend alive for generations. Not whether the 9 Unknown Men can be proven to exist, because there is no concrete evidence, but whether a society designed to remain hidden for over 2,000 years would leave any evidence at all, because true secrecy, by definition, leaves no trace. And if such a group were real, its greatest success would be its complete invisibility. So in the end, we are left with a question that is both simple and profound. If you had access to knowledge so powerful that it could change the fate of humanity, would you share it with the world, or would you hide it, protect it, and ensure that only a select few could ever access it? Because the answer to that question may reveal not just the truth about the 9 Unknown Men, but something deeper about human nature itself, and whether or not we are truly ready for the power that knowledge brings. And if the legend is even partially true, then somewhere, right now, 9 individuals may hold secrets that could change everything, and they are choosing to remain silent.